Thank you for joining me once again. It has now been a week of straight coverage regarding the situation that seems to keep on going. And if you're not familiar with this situation, I've got an entire playlist dedicated to what's been going on, so please consider watching some or all those videos. I will have it linked in the description for you. And a really quick side note, you can see the first video that kicked this all off was actually 3 weeks ago. Gotta admit, as bad as things looked 3 weeks ago, I didn't think they would proliferate to this level. Crazy stuff. But now, assuming everyone is familiar with what's going on here, we've got an update from voice actress Kaylee Mills, who has made a number of statements that has gotten her in the news time and time again throughout the last week. And here I was for a second thinking I might actually have a completely different topic to talk about today regarding Hero Aka. There is something regarding Hero Aka that I still do want to talk about, but then this happened. You see, it looks like Kaylee Mills has actually deleted her entire Twitter account. Indeed, if you do go over to that account, it says this account does not exist. Who knows if this is a temporary action or something that she plans on permanently maintaining. As we have seen a voice actor who got backlash previously deactivate his entire Blue Sky account, but then come back after like a day or two, except putting it in some kind of protected mode. So I guess only time will tell if Kaylee returns to Twitter and when that would be, if ever. But before she left, there were a number of statements made that were very interesting, specifically late last night, providing some apparent insight into the way SAG-AFTRA, the union, operates. This statement being referred to as kind of a mask-off moment. People saying, and there it is. Before we take a look at that, for anyone who hasn't seen yesterday's video, this was a statement made on April 1st by Kaylee Mills, which was already getting her a ton of backlash, and just to be clear, she was already getting quite a bit of backlash throughout the last number of days over other statements that she had made. But this was like the most recent one that really set things off once again, where she said, "This is one small job for him, Jacob Takanashi, not his full-time work. It's Korean his bread and butter. He's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all we know, his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival." Yeah, absolutely insane that she thought that was an appropriate and good thing to post. There is more context to what led up to this tweet and what happened after it, but I'm not going to rehash all of that because we just talked about that yesterday. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because perhaps this is a part of why she deactivated. She was getting a ton of backlash for that tweet and then actually deleted that tweet. And now the whole account's deleted. But let's take a look at that comment from last night that I mentioned. The one that people are once again referring to as like a mask-off moment. You can see this person asking Kaylee Mills, why does no one ever address, in this context no one is likely referring to voice actors from SAG-AFTRA specifically or their defenders, why does no one ever address the fact that bothers people the most? The fact that it's end up in a US-based monopoly and making employing future non-union, non-US-based VAs hell. What is this US main character syndrome? And why is it fine to be a scab for Nikki when others strike it? To which Kaylee Mills made this response. SAG quote-unquote winning the strike means that their contracts will all have AI protections going forward. It does not make every game union. Also, I've worked on several union games with international talent. A game going union does not bar that talent from working. Technically, here's the really important part, technically no union actor should work non-union at all, but we do. All the time. It's always been that way in VO. It's not necessarily quote-unquote fine, but it is still very different from taking an existing role from someone who vacated that role, withholding work for AI protections. That part, of course, likely referring to Jacob Takanashi getting hired for the role of Kenichi. Important context, the previous VA had seemingly not worked that role for a period of around 6 months. So Hoyo waits like 6 months to fill the role. Half a year later, they're like, okay, we got to move on. Final part of this reads, that's why you don't see anyone calling out any of the actors announcing their new non-union roles. It's because while as much solidarity as possible helps the cause, no one really expects everyone to be perfect allies. 7 hours ago, this got her posted, once again on our Genshin Impact, that post becoming another top post over on that subreddit, with the title, There It Is, saying she admitted they've been breaking the rules and are now expecting Hoyo to fix their mistakes, and also apparently many of them have been making union rates, so some people have been misleading the community about that too. A second screenshot provided in that post reading from Jared, "Hey Kaylee, I understand the union was not enforcing the Global 1 rule, but did MiHoYo negotiate you/other union VAs with union rates? I apologize if the question is intrusive, but it's one variable brought up in arguments that I can't really verify." Kaylee apparently responding, saying, "Hi, yes, although the game is non-U, many of us are making the union rate." A top comment in that post reading, "I really don't want to defend a billion-dollar company who could quite clearly defend itself without my input, but are you telling me said company had been paying in union rates despite being non-union? had formally stepped in and changed an unpaid actor's studio when they learned they weren't being paid. That likely referring to the whole Karina Formosa thing. We actually discussed that at the end of yesterday's video too. Had been patiently delivering unvoiced events and stories at the expense of users within nearly a year at this point. Had signed on different studios with AI protections written in their contracts without any fuss. And they want me to believe them that this company is a problem? Like, come on. Hoyo has better worker rights and takes care of all its employees better than what their union, who to everyone working with an actual good union looks on in horror at, could do to represent them. But dang, why is Shara angry and saying they've been underpaid? Why is Karina going off the rails and telling people they need Genshin to be union to get union pay? What the frick is going on? Yeah, if they're referring to that Shara Kirby or Shara Kirby person, that was hilarious too. That whole blue sky rant was insane. Icing on the cake is how I got that Shara Kirby comment from 2 weeks ago on my video initially talking about all the SAG-AFTRA backlash, how their strike was failing, trying to say that my video was misinformation and basically telling me not to make videos on the topic. Yeah, that aged terribly, didn't it? But now here's what's really important. Going over specific policies and what can be seen as contradictions within the union and the rhetoric of this specific clique of voice actors. Because as Kaylee Mills said, technically no union actor should work non-union at all, but we do. All the time. It's always been that way in VO. You can see on sagaftra.org the Global One rule, something which we've discussed plenty of times in the past, but just for clarity, let's read it one more time. Global Rule 1 states, no member shall render any services or make an agreement to perform services for any employer who has not executed a basic minimum agreement with the union, which is in full force and effect in any jurisdiction in which there is a SAG-AFTRA national collective bargaining agreement in place. This provision applies worldwide. Add the subtext. Simply put, a SAG-AFTRA member must always work under a union contract around the globe. According to the actions that Kaylee Mills has explained, this can be seen as quite a double standard, but things get even worse. Hopping over to sagaftra.org once again on a different page, we can take a look at specifically what's called Union Myth 10. They provide a quote that reads, as a union member, I'm not allowed to audition for non-union work. And they say, wrong. Fact. You are allowed to audition for non-union work. However, you cannot work without a union contract. Audition, get the part, you're likely to stand out in a non-union crowd. Once you're offered the role, explain that you can't do the role unless it's union. Let the producer know that going union is not nearly as complicated or expensive as they might imagine. Staff is right here in Texas to help with the paperwork. That arguably contradicts the Global One rule. However, even if someone wants to make the argument that it's technically not, in that case, it still comes off as a rather scummy move. But it still gets even worse. We can see the text below that reading, fact, you are encouraged to audition for non-union work because 1, non-union producers get a chance to see amazing talent they wouldn't otherwise see. 2, when you land that job and get a union contract, you turn that non-union production union. 3, you can help organize more work by sharing information about non-union producers or companies with union staff so they can inform them about our contracts. It all comes off as rather underhanded, shady, and manipulative. This seems to be what's been basically playing out with Hoyoverse. A number of the VAs who've been working with Hoyoverse have been a part of the union, and they were fine accepting that work for X amount of time, in some cases, a number of years. But then all the AI stuff popped up, and they apparently saw this as a great opportunity to try and manipulate a narrative of needing AI protections, but in reality, it seems like the real goal was trying to flip Hoyoverse into being a solely union project. And this goes back to what many people have been saying about the whole AI protection thing, really looking like a Trojan horse, so to speak. All of this amplified even further with how, as we just went over, a number of these VAs have even been disparaging Hoyoverse. In the case of Kirby, even saying F Hoyoverse, and that's putting it lightly, she said also a lot more than that, when if anything, Hoyoverse has been extremely kind to these people. And what about the people who've been supporting these voice actors? They've essentially been getting used like tools from these people too. Gaslit and manipulated, trying to get these people to go around and support their agenda without question, and then when people look into it and begin questioning things, they get treated terribly as well. It's been a terrible look for the SAG-AFTRA VAs. All this has backfired tremendously, but that's something we all surely already know by now. So let me know what you think about those policies and the updates regarding Kaylee Mills herself, the statement that she made late last night, and then the deletion of her entire account shortly after. In the next part of this video, we'll now take a look at what our CM bros have to say more recently about all this stuff. In a post from 22 minutes ago on our Genshin Impact, Boy King is back at it once again, saying, CN Billy community reaction to newest VA drama. Kaching VA tweet, SAG-AFTRA's quote-unquote encouragement, saying, Yeah, people in CN really want to see how you react to them now. This whole note passing thing, at CN they described this as a message in a bottle. I think they also said something about like paper notes, right? Like passing paper notes is really becoming a meme. Anyways, I put the two different vids/topics together, and here they are. Please don't nuke me. Disclaimer, the comments do not necessarily reflect the entirety of the CN community's opinion, and this first section seems to be specifically about Kaching VA tweet. That being this tweet, which we discussed yesterday and I showed in this video a few times too. The one, once again, that said, "This is one small job for him, not his full-time work. It's Karina's bread and butter. He's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all we know, his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival." Here's what the CN community has to say about that. I feel so bad for EN dub players. Not only they had to play with mute characters, but they now have to see their favorite characters get recast because of this whole drama. Well, the bright side of it is a lot of people seem like they would be eager to get those recasts if they do happen at this point in time. Let me recall. What were some reasons that CNVAs flamed recently? One was flamed because the character skin was too expensive. Some were playing the wrong game. Some showed their affection for a character. Compared to EN/JP drama, the reasons in CN are like child's play. The ENVAs are so strange. They're acting like Hoyo is begging them, and only them to voice the characters. Yeah, talk about an ego. This is also a messed up thing in CN ACG community, Anime Comic Games community, I think. Some people like to compare everything with their fantasized foreign world to hate on CN stuff. Kaching, combating evil, Kaching ENVA. As long as there's enough Mora, it's money in Genshin Impact for those who don't play, I can even go against the academia, which if I recall is like the main government of the region Sumeru. April Fool's Day's passed. Why are these fools still wandering around? We're almost at Sneznia, new region, next region. It's normal to have more fools than usual. Note, the CN name for the Fatui shares the same word as fool. The unions truly did recruit a batch of talented workers. It's gotta be sarcastic there. This is reminding me of the ancient days when Genshin CNVAs were being doxxed. We need harsher punishment for doxing. Dang, did the VAs catch a bullet for Dawei or something? How are they like this? It's probably just troublesome to recast. There's going to be too much work. Kanich was able to get recast because he's recent. It's not that easy. EN strikes don't follow protocol. It'll be hard for the company unless we find a new one and recast everything. Doxing? Isn't this illegal? Can't Kanich's new VA sue them? The amount of crazy VAs at the EN community? Dang. Good thing I don't use EN. As a Kaching stan, I'll be so sad. I probably should have said this sooner for anyone who doesn't know, but Kaching's VA is Kaylee Mills. Maybe I said that earlier. I don't remember at this point. My bad. Wow, this is becoming a daily report, huh? At this rate, Hoyo surely has to come out and separate them, right? Doxing is already in gray areas. There's no way you can't say anything about it. I'm just curious now how many VAs they'll recast. All of them together? Or just the worst ones and negotiate with the union? What the frick, doxing? Aren't these public figures? Is this something you can really do and say in public? I can't with these people anymore. They need to stop getting high before posting these stuffs. Now I'm having a stereotype for ENVAs. Wait, is this like a meme? Oh yeah, look at this, a meme from a Billy user. Some professional VA. What was your mission in Shanghai? Freaking Kaylee Mills in the meme beating Jacob Takanashi. SAG-AFTRA in the background just watching with approval. The next section is regarding SAG-AFTRA's quote-unquote encouragement to let union workers join non-union projects. This means something that we discussed earlier in the video. Let's see what the CN community has to say about this one. Come on, do some actual capitalism, would they? This ancient mafia stuff is getting ridiculous. Have you considered, though, that the union is doing exactly the capitalist stuff? They claim they're pressuring Hoyo for workers' rights, but it's all for their own interests. And look at how they're stripping away the non-union VA's opportunities. In the end, all they're doing is bullying the non-union workers and the incompetent companies. And when it's with the bigger companies, they don't even let out a squeak. The union nowadays is no longer the union that used to actually fight for all workers. Before they had to fight or else they wouldn't even have survived. And now they're living good. And yet now they're trying to prevent others from living good in order to fill up their own pockets. This is capitalism. Basically, the union right now is also a type of scab. Scab? My friend, this is a syndicate. Have you considered that this is a product of capitalism? Well, this is capitalism. The VAs are just their tools to squeeze. So that's interesting. It seems like some of them are saying this is all the fault of capitalism, but others are saying that this isn't even capitalism. It's actually some like mafia stuff, some syndicate stuff. It's also interesting that as we've seen over the years, even despite SAG-AFTRA itself, a number of English Western voice actors have a tendency of just being extremely toxic people anyways. This reminds me of that Honkai Star Rail Chimera event with that mole Chimera, the one that was planted into our team and left before the final battle. I told you so. The way is a time turner, lol. I thought this event was only to imply the bad work culture in China. Dang, I didn't realize it applies to this too. Back when I was training for my job, there was a class called social engineering, which is basically about commercial espionage slash theft. Foreign enterprises had made them into classes like a decade ago. It's time to introduce MiHoYo's 3 holy artifacts to the world: the time machine, the demon revealing mirror, and the boomerang. This union thing is clearly a holy cross moment. Explanation of the 3 artifacts. Time machine. HoYo's content sometimes can have an unexpected connection with a future event. As Fontaine's Archon Quest and Francis Flood at 2024. The Holy Cross, but Boy King writing in CN, this technically should be demon revealing mirror. The party in conflict with HoYo will often have dirt and their true forms will be exposed, just like how a demon disguised as a human will reveal their true form. And the boomerang. When you attack HoYo, it will often come back and hit you in the future. Like karma, but boomerang. Yeah, the time machine one reminds me of the flooding news after Fontaine's story was released. Some people were complaining about the 4D experience. 4D experience is crazy. SAG, by witness of the $3,000 payment notification. The entrance fee, or like the new membership fee. I welcome and declare thee, for you shall ascend into the heaven of high quality VA. Oh my gosh, bro. Comments memeing so hard on that policy thing we read before. What is this? Modern atonement? Cyber atonement, lol. To join the cause, a duty bound, yet rats brand. Is this like a poem? What is this? To join the cause, a duty bound, yet rats brandish claws, their arrogance loud. The hunger for gold, hidden in screed, till the terms on roll, revealing true greed. With naive skills and foolish minds, their schemes and screams bared under daylight. The people see through the geise, no need to witness their lies. And Boy King, I think, making this note that says, a DeepSeek translation of poem by one of its replies that is pretty good. So my translation is based on this. Theory. To get shipped to Reddit, you must achieve the following conditions. 1. A detailed analysis of each party's actions, HoYo, VA, SAG. 2. Expose the truth of SAG and their despicable actions. 3. Provide a sharp comment for Paimon VA. That'll definitely get you on there. 4. Create creative use of analogy / language without profanity. What, you're saying I don't fit any of those? No, please let me get shipped too. Here you go, lol. This was really funny, says Boy King. If they kick out Paimon's ENVA, I'll top up 10 $100 bundles, 6480 times 10 primos. HoYo, there you go. 1,000 just from that single person alone right there. We now literally have CN Wales trying to bargain with HoYo to kick out Paimon. This stuff's freaking hilarious. The next comment reads, this is getting funny. Like, voiceovers aren't a necessity. Why are they so confident? Yeah, that's got to be a great irony with this. They're trying to, like, strike for their demands, but they also kind of prove that, like, HoYoverse doesn't need them through their own actions inadvertently. The next one says, why do you think EN people are so used to character and VA bindings? There's no way there isn't any union influence behind this. Time for American players to start reading subtitles. This is to help them appreciate intonation works too, haha. It won't be that easy. Not all languages are as easy / efficient to subtitle as Chinese. And lastly, this one that reads, as a child main, I have to say that his ENVA Griffin is really good. Yeah, do you know what's crazy about that for any CN people listening? I guess anyone's not familiar. Genshin Twitter / Genshin TikTok here in the West, like EN Genshin Twitter, EN Genshin TikTok, harassed that dude when he was in the hospital. I remember covering that years ago. They were mad because they were saying he like posted some like racist stuff because he used the wrong emoji or something and used like a certain filter. It was crazy, bro. He was like literally posting a picture of him in the hospital and they were sending him death threats on that post. Yeah, that whole thing was a complete EN Genshin Twitter / Genshin TikTok moment. Extremely pathetic behavior from those people. And lastly, Boy King says, and finally, after days of posting these, I have finally found my first comment that actually supports the VAs. Cheers. Saying note, this next comment is from a well-known HoYo hater, which reads, whoever is shipping these comments, can you please stop? There's nothing wrong with friendly CN-EN communication, but why must we do this at the expense of an innocent ENVA worker? Comment saying, innocent? Because they're not innocent. All right, so that was very fun. Thank you, Boy King, as always, for getting those comments, translating them, and posting them. And let me know what you all think about that stuff, as well as what we went over earlier in the video, too. Hope you enjoyed today's coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.